Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to study chapter 14, that is Indian Freedom Struggle 1. So, this topic is divided into two chapters in your book, and today we are going to do part 1, Exploitation of Indians by the British. So, British people were using Indians unfairly or treating Indians unfairly for their own benefits. The British rule in India was against the interest of the people of India. So, the East India Company, the rule of East India Company, or we can say British East India Company, was very unfair. The initial motive of this company was to do business in India, but slowly it started taking the political control in our country. And when it happened, they stopped thinking about the needs and wants of the Indian people. Britishers were just doing the things which can benefit them. Indians were exploited and their wealth was taken by British. So Indians were being treated unfairly by the British people, and their wealth, their money was taken away, their richness was taken away by the British people. Indians were forced to produce crops like indigo and cotton needed for factories and industries which were in England. So the British people were asking the farmers of India to grow such crops which were required for the factories and industries of England. And indigo was a very popular crop of India at that time. The best quality of indigo was being grown in India only because of its climatic condition. But the problem was that the farmer who was growing indigo for a longer period of time on its field, the quality of soil depleted, and then the growth of other crops was in danger. And even indigo and cotton were such crops which were not used by the farmers for feeding the families. ये दोनों crops ऐसे होते थे कि जो किसान यूज़ नहीं कर सकते थे अपनी फैमिली को का पेट भरने के लिए. And all these crops were being purchased by the British people at lower prices. और ये जो इंडिगो कॉटन जैसी क्रॉप्स थी जो ब्रिटिशर्स थे, अंग्रेज थे, वो उसको बड़े सस्ते दामों पे फार्मर से खरीद लेते थे. सो एट लास्ट व्हाट हैपेंड, इंडियन फार्मर्स वर सफरिंग. Indian craftsmen, yeah, craft people could not compete with the low prices of factory made goods from Britain. So as British were purchasing the raw material at a low price, so they were producing the finished goods at a low price. So जब यहाँ से वो रॉ मटेरियल सस्ते में लेकर जा रहे थे, लो प्राइसेस पर ख़रीद कर लेकर जा रहे थे, तो वहाँ से भी वो प्रोडक्ट, इंग्लैंड से भी वो जो प्रोडक्ट बनाते वो भी लो प्राइस में ही इंडिया में बेचते. सो द इंडियन क्राफ्टमैन, दोज हु वर मेकिंग दी थिंग्स बाय देमसेल्व्स, जो अपने आप अपने हाथों से बनाते थे चीज़ें, तो उसकी प्राइस हाई होती थी. सो द इंडियंस were not purchasing the products of the Indian craft person. They started purchasing the products of the British because it was available at a low price. So what happened because of it, जो Indian crafts person थे उन्होंने अपना काम करना बंद कर दिया या करना पड़ा. They lost their job because of this reason. Many of them gave up their profession and several Indian goods were stopped. देयर प्रोडक्शंस वर स्टॉप्ड. सो बहुत से लोगों ने अपना प्रोफेशन तो छोड़ ही दिया था, जॉब तो छोड़ ही दी थी. साथ में कुछ ऐसे इंडियन प्रोडक्ट्स थे जो बहुत पॉपुलर थे उस टाइम पे. जैसे अगर हम एग्जांपल लें मुस्लिम क्लोथ का, सो इट इज़ पार्ट ऑफ इंडियन किचन नाउ ऑल्सो. मुस्लिम क्लोथ इज़ यूज फॉर सेवरल थिंग्स लाइक extracting cheese from the milk. Muslin cloth is used. So it was very popular all over the world, but because of the unfair practices of British people, a lot of popular products of India were stopped from production. The British introduced the railways, telegraph, and postal system. They even promoted modern Western education in India. So Britishers ने railway tracks बिछवाए पूरी इंडिया में. सारा जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है रेलवे का, it was done by Britishers. initially. Then communication facilities like telegraph and postal system was also introduced by the Britishers in India, but it was not done for the good of Indians. It was for their own benefits. Britishers ने जो भी हमारे देश में किया वो सब सिर्फ अपने फ़ायदे के लिए किया, हमारे लिए कुछ नहीं किया था. Why they constructed or why they initiated railways in India? Because they wanted to explore all the resources of India, क्योंकि वो चाहते थे कि वो भारत के हर कोने से रिसोर्सेज को एक्सप्लोर करें और अपने लिए रॉ मटेरियल को एक जगह से दूसरी जगह तक पहुंचा सकें. दिस वॉज द रीज़न. And telegraph and postal system was also the part of it, because they wanted to rule India in a proper manner. So they even established communication system so that they can communicate with each other. They promoted modern education system in India. उन्होंने modern education system, western education system India में introduce किया, and there were schools which were established by the British people, but these schools were not teaching according to the Indian education system. Students were being taught in the English language only. The reason behind it was that they wanted to have some of the Indians who can serve them better. उन्हीं के जैसे दिखने वाले, उन्हीं की जैसी सोच वाले दिखने लोग चाहते थे वो. They wanted that there should be a cadre of Indians who can serve them better, because if they will study through Western education system, they'll have the same thinking as the Britishers have. But it not happened like that. All these were done to gain control of resources in India and manage them efficiently to serve British interests. So this modern education or modern Western education system was introduced because British wanted that they can manage the Indians very nicely and they will serve them better if they are introduced with the Western education system. But what happened in reality? All these measures backfired. Means जैसा उन्होंने चाहा था वैसा नहीं हो पाया. It backfired. How it backfired? Introduction of Western education lead to the political awakening among Indians. So जब Western education को introduce कराया गया Indians को, तो Indians, all the Indians, those who were educated from out of these, some of the Indians started thinking कि this is our country and why the British people are ruling on us. तो इसका उल्टा ही हुआ. जैसे ही लोगों ने अपनी एजुकेशन की वेस्टर्न एजुकेशन सिस्टम के थ्रू, लोगों के अंदर जागरूकता आई कि ये तो हमारा देश है, ये ब्रिटिशर्स हमारे देश पे कैसे रूल कर रहे हैं. एंड दे इवन स्टार्टेड अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट दिस रूल इज़ नॉट फेयर. दे आर डूइंग इट फॉर देयर ओन बेनिफिट, एंड दी basic needs and the standard of living of Indians is being ignored. They are just using us. This awakening gave the people of India a common purpose. So जब लोग जागे, उन्हें समझ में आया कि हमारा देश है और हमें इसे आज़ाद कराना चाहिए, तो all the people of India got united and they got a common purpose. उन्हें एक common aim मिला, और वो aim क्या था? To fight against the British rule, that they have to send these British people back in their country. So here is a timeline which shows some of the events that occurred 1800 onwards. So social reformers. Yes, we know of each and every country there are some advantages and there are some disadvantages. So at that time India was having some of the social levels, and most of the practices were very discriminatory with women. बहुत सारी ऐसी प्रैक्टिसेस थी हमारी कंट्री में जो अच्छी नहीं थी, जैसे कि चाइल्ड मैरिज या फिर सती. सो देयर वर सम पीपल who became social reformer. So social reformer is a person who wants to uplift the condition of society in which that person is living. Means वो उस सोसाइटी को और बेटर बनाना चाहते हैं जिसमें वो रहते हैं, उस समाज को और अच्छा बनाना चाहते हैं जिसमें वो रह रहे हैं. तो सोशल रिफॉर्मर्स ने बहुत सारी चीज़ें की. दे So they wanted to change the condition of the Indian women in the society. They wanted to make people aware about the condition of Indian women. So they were against the sati pratha, and they wanted modern education for all. So we'll study about it later. So this is a timeline. You can go through all the events mentioned in it. So in next part we are going to study about all these events. That's all for today. Have a nice day. Watch the video twice.